All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Johnny on the Track podcast. And this week, we have an amazing guest. Really, the timing works perfectly for getting this guest on. He is now the 50th annual Spring Sizzler winner. He just won the greatest race in the history of spring at Stafford Speedway. With this win, he and his father, Tony Hirschman, became the first father-son duo to win this race. And on top of that, he's now going to be racing at Stafford Speedway for the SRX series, where Doug Coby actually won last year. So big things I expect from my guest. And he is big money Matt Hirschman. Matt, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be able to join you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just go right to the race. When you cross that start finish line and like, holy crap, this is a huge event, the 50th annual event. Like, what are the emotions of, as soon as you get that win, like, what are you feeling? What is going through your head?
Well, the emotions were quite high just because didn't really have even a split second to think about the possibility of winning, because the race went right down to the wire. We had a heck of a battle with Ryan Preece, swapped the lead around the 4 to 3 lap to go mark, and then had to hold them off over the last couple with restarts and things. So so very climatic, emotional finish. And then, on top of all the things that were at stake with, being the 50th anniversary and the winner getting the SRX opportunity, it was just quite an accomplishment and just a huge moment for the team. And it's been a whirlwind of a few days for me in my life.
So, sure. Your dad was there, obviously watching you, and he won this race several years ago. And now with your win, you become the first father-son duo. And real quick, is it your uncle that spots? Is your uncle the spotter for Kyle Busch, or is that
No, that's my brother?
That's your brother. Okay, so look at that. So his brother. So it's a family of racers. But I guess what I'm asking here is what did that moment mean for you that you and your father can kind of celebrate together one of, in my opinions, one of the greatest shows, one of the greatest events in all of motorsports? Like, what does that mean for you and your family?
Yeah, extra special, being the 50th anniversary and all the hype coming into the race. And then they honored all the past winners or family members of past winners that are no longer with us. So, the whole day, all of that, I shouldn't even say the whole day, all the hype coming in for months, and then the weeks, and then days in advance, and then over the course of the weekend, and then with him being honored as a previous winner, so being the 50th anniversary, to do it in that and become the first father-son duo to ever win the Spring Sizzler. We've done that in the Race of Champions, which is probably the only race with a longer running history and continuous event. So now probably the two modified races with the most history and the longest running, we've now both won as the only father-son duos to do that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I never got to watch your father race, but from what it seems like and from the highlights I've watched, he was a hell of a wheelman. As are you. So you come from a great family. That's awesome, man. And we're so happy for you. So you talked about battling it out with Ryan Preece, a guy that has made it, at the highest levels and probably will, I hope. I mean, he's racing this weekend at Dover, but I hope in the future gets even more chances in the Cup Series. But does it is there any added motivation there as like, holy crap, like I'm racing one of the best, in modified racing, a guy that's done it and performed at the highest level, got results. Is there any added motivation? Like, I want to beat this. I want to beat this guy.
Well, Ryan and I have had a lot of good races together, great races, really. From New Smyrna, Florida
Yeah.
to, tracks in New Hampshire, we battled for wins together. So it adds to it for me, being that, to beat Ryan, one of the top drivers, one of the best that I've ever run against. And he's very good at Stafford. That's one of his home, maybe is his home track.
Yeah.
So that just adds to it as well, because it wasn't an easy win, and it wasn't a win where you'd look and say, look at the name in second, third, fourth, and be like, years from now, you're going to be like, oh, who was that? Or not in this case, you basically, people are going to remember this finish, the battle between Ryan Preece and I. It was what the race deserved as far as like the finish and what type of it was memorable, and that's what the 50th anniversary race deserved to have. It wasn't a runaway or a boring race. It was an exciting battle right to the finish, and I think if one day they have the 75th anniversary or the 100th anniversary, if that ever happens, I believe we had one of the greatest finishes in the history of, and races in the history of the Spring Sizzler.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're totally right. I mean, we'll be looking at back at this one for a while, and who knows, maybe by the 75th, with everything going on, it might be double the payout, which was already a crazy big payout. But one of the things that I thought was awesome, and it just shows the level of respect and class that a lot of you guys have racing modified is, Ryan Preece came over to you at the end of the race, came right up to your window, gave you kind of a handshake. I don't know what was said between you two. Maybe you could share that, but what does that kind of show, like the level of respect that you guys kind of have for each other, and not just you and Ryan, but guys like Woody Pitcat, Doug Colby, like talk about that level of respect that some of the best have for each other.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, in this case, with Ryan and I, we've had a lot of races and finishes where we battled for wins, and we've always we've always had mutual respect for one another. That's a good thing, to have, with your competitors, and you don't have it with all of them. They're just, you find that maybe there's some drivers that just don't show you that respect or don't, and it's better to have it this way, in my opinion. And it was a great finish. He came over. We had a few words, and like I said, I know he wanted to win just as badly as I did. We're both very competitive, and we both want to win. But we also we did it the right way, and I would have done the same if it was him. I would have congratulated him as well.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like that's what I see every time I watch modifieds. It's like I know the level, the class you guys have for each other, level of respect. I mean, it's clear to see on the track because you guys race each other like pros, and that's how it should be to me in every series. But sadly, sadly, it's not. But let's talk about winning this. You get a shot at the SRX series against Tony Stewart, rising star Haley Deegan. I think Biff will be there. What kind of does that mean for you in terms of an opportunity? I know obviously a lot of people who watch modified racing, who watch racing from the New England area, they know who you are, they know your name, they know what you're capable of. But, do you see this as an opportunity to really like put yourself, take that next level? Or do you kind of just see it as, hey, it's just an opportunity and I'm happy to do it?
Well, it's going to be a bigger stage because it's a national stage. So you're on primetime cable TV and on a national stage. It's it's a big deal. So it's horizons with flow racing and having a lot of races being streamed and different things. So we're definitely out there in terms of our notoriety more than we were, and it's only helping things for modified racers. But this is above and beyond that. This is a real big deal, and like I said, the names and the accomplishments of the drivers in the field definitely going to be an honor to be on the same track and be a part of it. I enjoyed watching the SRX last year, and what drew me as a viewer, what my interests were, is how the short track racer did, and that's what my biggest draw. And now I'll be the one to represent us that night at Stafford.
See, the funny thing I look at is like they should be taking notes on you, Matt. You almost set the I don't even know if you know this, but you almost set the track record at Stafford last week in practice. So I'm sure they're like, holy smokes, we got to be ready for this guy to race against this guy. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of kind of the confidence level that you have, like how confident are you going in? Do you see like, hey, Doug did it. I'm confident. I'm ready to beat these guys.
Well, I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it yet, because like you said, it's not something I was able to really prepare for, because you had to first take care of business in the spring Sizzler. But yeah, definitely something I'll be thinking about a lot. And it's a little bit different circumstance than last year when Doug did it. That was the first ever race, and nobody was ever able to even test the cars, which was, they kept the playing field level by they had test drivers, but they weren't drivers that were going to race in series. So that was the very first event. So they all came in on equal ground, because they had not raced. So now a lot of the drivers, and I believe Stafford is sort of in the middle of this year's schedule. I believe there's a couple of events before Stafford. So in terms of that, I'll be at a bit of a disadvantage. But again, I'm confident. It's held at a half-mile paved track, and it's in my wheelhouse. So we'll just see if I can adapt quickly to the car and hopefully represent the short track racing and modified racing, especially well.
Hell yeah, you will. I have no doubts that you'll put on a show for everybody, and can't wait. I mean, that's like you said, it's a national stage, it's a national broadcast. So when I get to watch, like I've grown up now kind of watching Doug Kobe, and so I was like, man, I know going in that he's gonna shock all these people, and they're gonna be like, who the heck is this guy? If they don't know his name. And it was awesome to watch, and it just shows how talented the modified racing community really is, and why I love watching it. So that's for sure. But let's talk about your nickname, Big Money Matt. So I'm sure you've probably explained how this came to be like 1,000 times, but I kind of want to know like who crowned it. Because I assume the reason is because you just show up and you win lots of money and you leave. But who kind of crowned this nickname? And then on top of that, like you won 24 grand, I think, at Stafford. So like, where does that rank in terms of like Big Money Matt?
Yeah, that actually is the highest single race taken I've ever had. Actually, last year I had set a new high for myself in a tri-track event, the SBM 125 at Star Speedway. There was a lot of bonus money on top of the payout, the purse money, which in this case is the same thing. There was lap money and some bonus money on top of the base purse. So it is a new high, and we just set a new high last year. So this is a good trend to have. I guess the Big Money Matt thing is something that I didn't come up with, but I guess I've lived up to the reputation, because it's been out there several years now, quite a few. So it's kind of stuck, and we're just trying to just to keep it current, I guess, by winning races and trying to win the big ones.
Well, it's funny when you entered the Spring Sizzler, I remember Stafford put out a tweet and was like, oh, big money Matt is entering this, the big money event. And a lot of people are like, wow, that people respond like, wow, that's a cool nickname. Like that's his nickname. That's pretty cool. And then you come out and win the most money you've ever won. So you definitely live up to it. That's for sure. I don't know if you want to share this, but I feel like myself and a lot of people are wondering when you win something like that, like how much do you take as the driver? I know you have team, pit crew, all the people that put in the hours at the shop helping you out, but like when you walk out of there, how much are you taking home that night?
Well, in this case, with this car, the red number 60, these are that's my own car. So I'm the owner and driver. So it's certainly different than when you're racing for someone else. I raced a PD Motorsports 60, which is what we raced for Speed Weeks, and we won down there, and then we won with the Smart Tour in the March in the Carolinas and Virginia. So it's always different, but it's certainly it's good to have a good payday like that because it definitely can carry you or help, throughout the season or at the end of the year. Last year, late in the season, we experienced a couple of engine failures, which can be very expensive. Nobody's fault, but those will certainly empty the account quick when that happens. So yeah, definitely this is a good one to get. Definitely helps carry things through the season. But there's quite a few other big races left to go. I don't know that any will be as big as this, but there's a lot of good stuff happening for modified racing.
Heck yeah, man, and we're rooting for you in all those. So, last question before I let you go. This win, like I said, the 50th Spring Sizzler. You and your dad now share kind of, titles here. Where do you rank this win in kind of your career because to me, I mean, from an outside perspective, like this really seemed like a big win for you, and with everything that they hyped it up to be, the race, the finish, it delivered. The whole event, I think, even like just the weekend, putting duels in. I mean, I really think this was a really great event. Where do you rank this in terms of your career? Is this top five? Is this number one? Like, where is it for you?
It's hard to rank them. I will say it's very high.
Hmm.
It's hard to rank because sometimes it's not just based on, say, okay, this was the highest money taken in, and it's just there's certain things obviously that make it, but there might be a win that was more important to my career at some point, but it may not have paid nearly as much. It's hard to really put rank them, but I will say it's definitely one of the biggest. And I also don't want to be like prisoner of the moment right now, because certainly it feels like the biggest deal, especially with getting the opportunity to run in with SRX and things. I would say, if you're right now, it's like, sure, it's right at the top or it's the top. But again, I've had some other races in my career that really meant a lot to me, or something maybe I had tried to win year after year after year and finally won it. And then there's other races that just might have opened a door to continue to advance your career. So it's really hard to put a number on it, but it's right up there at the top with some of the biggest or most important wins for my career.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Like I said, it felt like that with everything like I said, the kind of the hype around it. One more question I got to ask you. So for me, it was a long, long day that Sunday, and I was kind of thinking like, man, I think you guys were scheduled to probably go off around like 6:30 or something like that. But it was obviously pushed back with a lot of the stuff that went on. Did at any point you were like feel like, I don't know, like just anxious almost to get out there, or that kind of long delay of like, oh, I was ready to go out at this time, it's a couple hours pushed back? Was there anything like that, or were you just whenever the time comes, I'm ready to roll?
Yeah, I mean, I was good. I was ready, but it was a long weekend. It was
Yeah.
long hours, and I think I think they would probably look at that, the schedule and things that they had, because it was both days were a little behind what they had put out there. And again, the only negative to that for us is we're a team that did travel, so getting out of there that late on a Sunday night is kind of tough, but it would be something I think they're probably well aware of, and they can look at, but I just really don't see too many negatives on the weekend. It was just such a big hit, and had great atmosphere. It was quite the buzz all weekend around that place. So, if that's the only negative to the weekend, I think it's something that they can fix.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like I said, it was an awesome event. It was a great event. So, and you guys put on one hell of a show, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how long you wait. Once that time comes around and you see a good show, that is all that matters. So, man, well, thank you so much for coming on. We've got it circled. I believe it's July 2nd. You will be racing in the SRX race. How about just normal modified stuff? When's your next race?
Yeah, we're racing again this weekend. This weekend, the Tri-Track Series opens at Monadnock on Saturday. Also, my home track in Pennsylvania, Evergreen Raceway, opens on Sunday for the season. So even though we've been pretty busy racing since February, there's still places that are, beginning the season and opening, even though we've been racing for a couple months solid here already, more than that. So, we'll see how we do open the season for those two, and then actually next weekend the Race of Champions Series opens. Their opener is in New York State. So still, like I said, early in the season here, a lot of racing to go, and we'll just try and keep up the positive momentum that we've had going all season so far.
So busy weeks coming up from Money Matt Hirschman. Matt, like I said, thanks so much. We are rooting for you. And yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm saying it now. I'm speaking it into existence. You're winning this SRX race, man. I got confidence in you. So like I said, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me, and we'll talk to you again soon.